What's the dumbest rule you had in school? Story 1. I need to wait 10 minutes before and after classes have started to use the restroom. My adolescent body with developing Crohn's disease did not take kindly to this rule, and got into fights with the bathroom monitor often. Someone who would make sure nobody was in the bathroom for too long, doing drugs, having spicy time, other things of the sort. Thankfully, the principal had a heart of gold and gave me a special pass to use his personal private bathroom, which was so nice and clean. In a school of 5,000 teenagers, being able to poop in peace at the rate you go with Crohn's disease made my life somewhat less poopy. Pun intended. As a long-time Crohn's-affected person, that is such a sweet blessing. Your principal deserves a hug. Story 2. No hats was basically the only dress code my school had. The dumbest thing was more so the reasoning behind it. It was put into effect after Columbine because apparently different groups, jocks, nerds, goths, etc., wore different headgear to differentiate themselves. In Australian schools, it is compulsory to wear hats when in the playground, skin cancer prevention. Of course, in Australia, all schools have uniforms, so there is a common hat that everyone should be wearing. Story 3. No Simpsons anything. This was when it premiered, and there was this national scare that Bart was a bad influence. There were two popular Bart shirts that were banned. One that said, "I'm Bart Simpson, who the heck are you?" And another that said, "Bart Simpson, underachiever and proud of it." This eventually evolved into banning all Simpson shirts, school supplies, stickers, etc. After some of the teachers started watching the show, a lady who lived across the street spearheaded this campaign in our town. Decades later, I met a showrunner from The Simpsons and told him about it. He told me teachers like that put his kids through college. Alright, yes, that's a weird ban, but you met a Simpsons showrunner? That's awesome! Story 4. Went to a Catholic school where there was a big white line painted across the schoolyard, and during recess, boys played on one side and girls on the other. We were not allowed to intermingle during recess, even though we weren't separated during class or lunch. I'm a guy and all my friends were girls, so we used to stand at the line and talk, and got in trouble many times for that. Also in high school, post-Columbine, we weren't allowed to carry backpacks around the school. We had to leave them in our lockers and carry our heavy butt textbooks around. Dang, my school had this too until you hit like 6th grade, I think. Also a Catholic school. I forgot about that rule. Story 5. Girls couldn't wear tank tops because showing armpits wasn't allowed, but guys could wear wife beaters. Made no sense. No chains on wallets back in the day where chain wallets were the thing, so dudes replaced their chains with pearl necklaces as an FU to the admin. No black lipstick allowed. Oh, and they were really concerned about starter jacket and gang activity. This was a small farm town of like 700, total overreaction. Also, most high schoolers allow you to attend a shorter day if you met your graduation credits, but we had to sit all day. And sometimes, that meant having 2 to 3 study halls if we had already met requirements. Such a waste of time. I don't know why, but calling them wife beaters is so funny to me. Story 6. In primary school, we weren't allowed to put our rubbish from our lunches in the bin. I distinctly remember being in an assembly where the head teacher said, "Your lunchbox is your bin." I mean, did she think the bins were for decoration? So stupid. Our teachers did this in elementary school, but it only applied to food waste like apple cores, sandwich crust, etc. because they didn't want the garbage to stink or gather flies. We are still allowed to throw out wrappers and things like that. Don't they have like a janitor to take out the garbage though? Like, why even have the cans at that point? Story 7. In 2nd grade, only one boy and one girl were allowed to go to the bathroom at a time. I had to pee so bad that I was shaking, and this kid took a stupid amount of time to get back. He finally came back, and I had to wait in a line at his desk, and he finally said I could go. Peed myself on the way there. I'm gonna make sure my kids know that if they actually have to go to the bathroom and they're being denied, to just go. I'll take care of the rest. Story 8. We could not touch each other. All physical contact was banned. There was this one teacher that claimed if it wasn't for this rule, we would all be running around impregnating each other. Ah yes, truly the time of my life. This could really develop some negative complexes around touching people when you get older. No colored shoelaces. Apparently it was a sign of gang affiliation. No toe shoes. It looked too much like you were wearing only socks. What's wrong with only socks? Sometimes you just gotta let the dogs breathe. Story 9. We weren't allowed indoors for more than 5 minutes at recess. This was in Canada, and indoor recess started when it was below -25°C. Instances of school-wide diarrhea really shot up during the winter. We didn't have school once because it was -9F, -23C. They didn't want students standing outside. I was in high school. I'm in an area where we don't normally go negative. I couldn't imagine having recess in that. Story 10. In elementary school, we couldn't kick a ball at recess because the school was afraid we would kick the balls to the top of the building. The janitor would go up on top of our school once a week and just toss ball after ball down. We will throw hands in the air and cheer. Mark was our god and we were his disciples. I hope Mark is being paid well. What a legend. Story 11. No balls over the diameter of 1.4 feet. My school was weirdly accurate. We still brought in footballs. No balls over 1 foot, brought in smaller footballs. No balls over 10 centimeters, brought in tennis balls. No balls over 5 centimeters. Belted the windows with our dad's golf balls. Eventually got removed to the fact that the word ball could be misinterpreted. Well, I can't make it to class. Story 12. No one could wear Joe's Crab Shack shirts. At first it was just the tie-dye ones that said peace, loving crabs, because of the implication of spicy time in public lights, I suppose. That was a stretch, but then they expanded to any Joe's Crab Shack shirts. My friend had to wear a PE shirt all day because her shirt was a Joe's Crab Shack shirt. It didn't have an offensive slogan on it. It just had a picture of a crab and the restaurant's name. She still had to change shirts. She was so embarrassed because no one wants to wear your PE shirt all day. Story 13. Buses were not allowed to depart at the end of the school day until the flag on the flagpole outside the main entrance had been taken down and properly put away. If someone forgot, all the buses would sit there idling for as long as it would take until the flag was dealt with. Imagine being a bus driver trying to keep a schedule and being like, "Sorry guys, the flag wasn't down. I couldn't leave the school," when they were late to the next route. Sounds like such a waste of gas too, especially with the prices nowadays. Story 14. No eating outside the cafeteria. This was to reduce litter in the hallways, but our school cafeteria could only fit 100-ish people, so everyone ignored it. They tried reinforcing it by guarding the cafeteria doors, so those buying lunch couldn't leave, but then people just stopped buying school lunches. Joke's on them, I'm from the Beige Gang. I have no idea what the Beige Gang is, but I'm listening. Story 15. In middle school, we had a stupid as all heck one-way hallway system, where students could only walk in the halls one direction. Made me late twice actually, since my class was the first one behind the exit door, but forced to go in the entrance door. Was reinforced even when the halls were empty. One stick-in-the-mud teacher threatened to write me up if I questioned the rule. Story 16. When I was in high school taking my second year of photography class, everyone was called into the auditorium for an assembly. It was to announce that cameras were no longer allowed to be used on campus due to privacy issues. This was about 2 weeks after the school had installed security cameras everywhere in the school. Story 17. My middle school banned hugs, at least they banned front hugs. The rule was against chest-to-chest contact regardless of context or gender. No chest bumps after a game. Several girls got in trouble for hugging their female friends goodbye after school. It was a strange place. Obviously just hug from behind. Imagine banning something so innocent as a friendly hug. I just don't get school sometimes. Story 18. Our school banned black socks. It was a public high school in a predominantly poor neighborhood. So the parents didn't give a crud and brought whatever socks were cheapest, or didn't have the money to buy all brand new socks again. It got to the point where we'd have whole school assemblies on it, and the teachers threatened to suspend kids from school for wearing black socks. Story 19. Clear or mesh backpacks only. This was from first grade through high school in the late 90s to early 2000s. We also had to wear a safety vest as our bathroom pass in high school. It was such a joke that the first year the rule was introduced, our yearbooks were a giant safety vest on the outside. Honestly, the thought of a shared unisex safety vest for our bathroom visits still grosses me out, as I know those things were never properly washed. God, I can't even imagine how disgusting those things were. I'd simply just refuse to wear it. Maybe it would accidentally fall in a fire. Story 20. We couldn't wear winter clothing in class, coats, gloves, hats. Even with the heat on, it got cold in the winter inside the school, so we just had to freeze. They said it was because winter clothing were gang symbols. This was a farm town in Wisconsin. Story 21. Halfway through 8th grade, they decided to ban all beverages, including water, from use by 8th graders. A couple kids brought vodka in a water bottle to school, and they decided the best option was no liquids at all. We couldn't even bring in sealed beverages or unopened cans because they could have been tampered with. Yeah, I injected 5 cc's of beer into this can of soda, prepared to get wasted. No beverages. At all. Now that's gotta be a lawsuit, right? Story 22. Well, 3 of them. No mechanical pencils or any pens that click. Teachers found that crud annoying. No peeing outside the toilet or urinal. Common decency, but if you're caught, you would get a call to your parents. The rule isn't stupid, it's actually really good, but the people who it's targeted at are zero tolerance policy. It's in nearly every school. I haven't had any encounters, but it does strike people hard. Imagine getting beat up, and getting punished for being beat up because you happen to be involved even though you did nothing. It's a rule. Okay, but I think Walmart needs that toilet rule. Story 23. Hair couldn't be extreme, colored, or past earlobes for guys, as it would be considered a distraction to others. I had long hair past my shoulders and would not cut it. Was in ISS a lot. It's a silly thing to get detention for. Kids don't go to school to be told how to dress and how they should look. I remember how much of an impact the Breakfast Club movie had on me in my junior high days. My school was the same. Our hair couldn't touch our eyebrows, and males couldn't have any facial hair except well-groomed mustaches. And hair rules didn't apply to staff. Story 24. When I was a freshman in high school, late 80s, there was a designated smoking area on campus. It was a square, maybe 10 by 10, painted on the ground in the courtyard. Students could only smoke in that box on campus. The next year, they decided you could only smoke in that box if you had a note from your parents. The year after that, no students were allowed to smoke on campus. My senior year, staff weren't allowed to smoke on campus. This resulted in the box metaphorically moving to someone's driveway across the street, where students and teachers were all. Story 25. On my first day of class, my 7th grade writing teacher demanded that we all buy comfortable pens. On the second day of class, she went desk to desk sampling our choices. Several students, myself included, experienced awkward embarrassment when she slammed down our pathetic pens and shouted, "Nope!" Dang, imagine getting your pen roasted like that, and by your teacher no less. Story 26. The boys weren't allowed to wear shorts at my middle school, but the girls could wear culottes, basically shorts with a fancy name. One day, about 100 boys came to school wearing culottes. The man had it stuck to him hard that day. Story 27. In 3rd grade, we had to have playmates. It basically meant that we couldn't play with our friends on the break/recess. We had to play in a group. That group was filled with students from other classes too. Not fun. Story 28. At an all-girls high school, no ankle socks because ankles can attract boys and make them have spicy time with you. Ankles led to legs, and legs led to up there, and we all know what's in that area. I feel like the head of the school knew nothing about people. Story 29. It wasn't the rule, but the wording. Grade 9, they made an announcement that you couldn't show your butt crack in the school. The admin decided to word that as no back cleavage. Story 30. No one was allowed to have or say the word Dr. Pepper because it was the password to a shared Brazzers account the administration found out about. Oh, that's hilarious though. Story 31. The boys were not allowed to have doors on our stall. We had a brick wall about 4 feet high between toilets with nothing in front. They said the boys would ruin them. Oh yeah, you know how boys are, just casually ruining stall doors. Story 32. In grade school, we were told not to use spoons. Only babies use spoons. Yet they gave us spoons. I'm an adult, and you can tell because I'm enjoying my soup with a fork and knife. Story 33. No water bottles because a few girls 4 years ago snuck vodka into the bathroom. I stuck water in a vodka bottle to PE. Story 34. In middle school, we weren't allowed to talk at lunch, or else we would get put up on the wall and get handed a detention, like a clean version of heck. Story 35. Bandanas and headbands that were similar to bandanas were banned and ended. The reason was that it increased gang violence among 11 to 14-year-olds in the suburbs of a small town. In Canada. Story 36. At any point, you may not talk during lunch, and may not laugh at large stools in the bathroom. I poop you not. Excuse the pun. Story 37. At my grade school, we weren't allowed to wear ankle socks. You would get detention if you did. Story 38. Girls were not supposed to hold hands or else they would turn lesbian. Story 39. Couldn't wear flip-flops because they were considered a weapon, but you could wear stiletto heels. La chancla. Story 40. Backpacks weren't allowed to be worn during the school day in middle school. It was the dumbest thing since you wear your backpack everywhere in high school and college. Story 41. Can't wear red to school. So stupid. Story 42. In primary school, we weren't allowed to use erasers. Never told why. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe for more videos to come or else this spider will be in your bed tonight.